Am I doing this? Yes, I'm doing this. Whew. Hey guys. Um, so as you can tell, this video is about spiritual gifts, and I am scared as hell right now. I am scared as heck because I'm always such a confident person. I don't really care what you think about what I wear, about the color of my hair. I don't really care about any of those things. But at the same time, while those things are a reflection of me, they're not me. This story that I'm about to tell you is my story. It's the things that have happened to me, and it's who I am. So it's really scary to put a piece of who you are out there, because when people criticize and troll, they're criticizing and trolling you. But I've been on a journey of self-acceptance, self-love, and a part of that journey is accepting myself on a whole, the whole spectrum of who I am, not just the parts that I feel society agrees with or the parts that I feel people will like, but hiding the other parts that I feel people will find strange. And that's the thing. And that's the thing about why it's so scary and why I've basically hid this for years and years and years. It's because this world is so cruel to people who are different. If you don't fit the status quo, if you don't go with the current of what's happening, this world can be very, very cruel for you. But I have been getting signs, tons of synchronicities. The message has been coming through so clearly to me for a while now, but especially in the past 2 weeks, the message keeps coming to me over and over and over and over again. You need to accept who you are, and a part of accepting who you are is allowing other people to see who you are. So basically, I was about to say come out the closet, but somebody's gonna be like, oh, she gay. Coming out the closet with my spiritual gifts. So that's what I'm gonna do. I mean, even right now, my default urge is to cherry pick the parts of my story that might be more acceptable or might be more normal and tell those parts to you and keep the other parts hidden. But if I'm gonna tell this story, I have to tell it in its entirety from the beginning. Okay, I'm back. My SD card was full, and you know something? My intuition said to me last night, clear your SD card so you can record this video. I was like, okay. And I deleted 2 or 3 videos off the card. Wasn't enough. My intuition said again, clear more so that you have space for this video today. I'm like, look, I'm tired. I need to go to bed. And I didn't do it. Look now, I have wasted 20 minutes of my life. All right, so let's get to the story from the beginning. Growing up, I used to have really bad dreams. I used to have really bad, not, oh, this is a scary dream, I'm running from a little monster. I used to have really bad demonic dreams. And it wasn't a once or twice in a blue moon thing. It wasn't a once a month thing. I used to be plagued with demonic dreams. It was so bad that I was scared anytime I had to go to sleep, because I knew that once I close my eyes, it's going to be hell, literally. And I vividly remember as a kid getting up every morning and running to my parents and telling them, oh, mommy, daddy, I had a really bad dream, another demonic dream, la la la. And they used to pray and stuff, or say, it's fine, it's just a dream, blah 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 blah. Cool. That went on for a very long time. I used to hate when the sun set, because I know it's almost bedtime, and bedtime means being scared out of this world. And soon after that, it progressed from dreams to being able to feel when something negative is in the room. Like I would walk into a room, or especially in people's houses, child. I used to walk into a room and I could feel when there's something heavy in the atmosphere or something with ill intention. I don't know. It's hard to put into words because these are internal feelings. So on top of the dreams, I used to feel when something would come in my room or when something is around, like really negative, like evil feeling presences. And it was scary. It was really, really, really scary. And thinking back at it now, I also used to be able to feel the presence of light. Like when I used to go to church, I could feel the presence of something good. I could feel the presence of like happiness when people are singing. I could feel hope when people are singing. Like I could feel all those really good emotions as well. But the negative things are the things that stood out to me as a kid because, of course, that's the thing that's scary. When you feel something good and happy, like you don't think twice about it. It's like, yeah, that's good. But when you feel those really, and it's weird because like trying to think back on the feeling of the negative entities or the negative presence, it's not just, it's like this feeling of not just evil, but the best way I can think about to describe it is like, we know when you watch Harry Potter, right? And you have the Dementors. It almost felt like how they describe that. Like hopelessness. It's this feeling of hopelessness and discouragement and despair. It's just, it's like the absence of happiness. And as a kid feeling that, it's just like, oh my God. So had those for a while. It evolved into feeling it in the real world from, it evolved from dreams to feeling it in the real world as well. The dreams never stopped at that point. And after years of this, man, one day I remember vividly, I was laying on my bed on my back and I was listening to something and I felt a presence just come down from the ceiling into the room, and it was one of the worst ones I've felt in a while. I was so scared. But at this point, it's just like, what am I gonna do? Run to tell my parents again? What are they gonna do, you know? So I just laid there and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I closed my eyes and I said to myself, I said, I can't. It's like I screamed in my head. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to hear this. Well, not hear because I didn't hear anything. It's a feeling. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to have these dreams. I don't want it. I am scared out of my mind. I just yelled, I don't want it. And in that instant, it's like I felt something go zoom. That's the best way to explain it. And when I opened my eyes, I felt nothing anymore. It was just all gone. After that point, I didn't have any more demonic dreams, and I was ecstatic because you don't understand. It went from years of just being plagued with this in my dreams to nothing. I think I might have one every year or one every 6 months. I was so happy. But what I realized looking back on the story now as an adult, because of my fear, I switched off whatever that was allowing me to feel these things. Because I was so traumatized, I switched it off. And I hadn't realized the timing of this again until I'm an adult looking back. Right after I did that, I started to have a recurring volcano dream. I thought I had like an irrational fear of volcanoes or something, but I kept on, like I'm gonna say 4 times a week, I would have a dream about being somewhere and a volcano is erupting and I have to run away and I'm running away from this volcano. The volcano never hurt me. Even sometimes I would see the lava coming down, and it's almost as if that took the space of the demonic dreams. So literally the frequency with which I would have these demonic dreams. Once I said what I said and I shut that all off, I started having those volcanic dreams. And strangely enough, I had the fear of the demonic dreams in the volcanic dreams, but for the volcano. And I realize now, again, as an adult, that I had hidden something inside. I had buried something deep inside that kept trying to come back up. And that's what was happening in the dreams. It was like you've hidden a talent or a spiritual awareness that you've hidden deep down inside, and it's still there bubbling like a volcano, trying to come up, and I'm running from it. In these dreams, I was running. This is me. Next dream, this is me. Volcano behind me, lava coming, and I'm running. I'm always trying to escape this volcano. And man, I'm sorry, it's funny to me now because I used to always be like, why are you always dreaming about volcanoes? It's because, Akil, you buried your gift. You buried a part of yourself that was very powerful, and it's still there and trying to come out, and you're just running. And that also, that just came to me. A message just came to me and it said, that's also a depiction of my life. Because, and I'm going to tell you the rest of, you're probably here like, what gifts, Akil? You dream about demons and you dream about volcanoes. You'll see. I'm getting there. It's a depiction of my life because as all these things and all these gifts start developing in my life, this is me running from them. Running. I've been running my whole life. And it's so funny, I did not see those parallels until I sat here and it just came to my mind. But anyway, yeah. Dreams, volcanoes. Sorry, I have a list, my little list here of so I don't forget any important points. So dreams, okay. Oh, okay. And I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. And I remember this time my mom told me she fell asleep in the living room. I guess she was watching TV late or whatever, and she fell asleep in the living room. And she said she turned off the TV, floated off to sleep. And then she said she was woken up by laughter. And she said it sounded like the laughter of kids. And then she's like, did I leave the TV on? Why am I hearing kids laughing? But anyway, she just continued kind of laying there trying to go back to sleep. And then she said she heard it again, the persistent laughter of children. So she sat up. She's like, what is that? Did I leave a radio on as well? Like, what was going on? She said when she sat up and turned around to look, because the way our house was set up that day is there is the front door. Well, let's say it like this. There's a front door here. And once you come through the front door, you can turn left. If you turn left, there is a passageway that leads to my room. Like my room ends in the passageway. So she got up, she turned around like towards where she heard the laughter, and she said when she looked at the front door, she saw little kids running through the door, and it's almost like they're illuminated by like a blue light. They're running through the door and straight through the passage going around to my room, just coming through the door, and they were laughing and running around, running through the door, running to my room. And she was like, what the hell? And I remember this distinct point when my parents started to take this a little more seriously was when my mom saw that image. Then they started to do a lot more like, ask me questions about it or praying about it and things like that. I have chills. But yeah. All right. So I need to keep on track. That was another instance where somebody else was able to validate what was happening to me. And I don't know why I keep needing someone else to validate, but sometimes it's nice. So yeah, volcanic dreams happened after I kind of locked it away and I didn't feel any more of those things. But at the same time, weird things still happened to me. It's like I went through a period after that of forgetting that I had that ability to feel things that people can't see. And I just went about my life. But what I noticed is people kept finding me, especially people who had, I don't know, spirits I remember this girl started to come to church, and my mom introduced me to her. Like a young person like myself, she's like, hey, I'm going to introduce you to this girl. She needs some friends and blah, blah, blah. I was like, cool, cool, cool. Said hi to her, gave her my number. Oh my God, that girl had some serious, serious things going on with her. And it turned out that, after talking to her for a while, there was definitely something either possessing her or something following her. And it turns out that her parents used to deal with voodoo and those types of negative spirits and those types of negative practices. And I say negative lightly because I believe that in any religion or any sort of practice, there's a good side, but there's also a bad side. And we know this, Christians. Look at the history of Christianity. Look how many people we used to kill in the name of Christianity. We used to massacre people in the name of Jesus, okay? So I feel like Christians especially like to feel like Christianity is this holier than thou, nothing went, the Roman Catholic Church, back in the day? Come on now. So there was definitely something going on with her. She wasn't able to pray. Like, she physically was not able to pray. She physically was not able to say like the name Jesus. Like she would try to form the word with her mouth, but things would not come out. It was really weird. And I could tell you a lot about that girl, but I'm gonna just go to the relevant points. With me, she messaged me one day and she basically was she wasn't having thoughts of suicide. She said something was telling her to kill herself. That's what she said. And I was like, you know what? I almost said her name. That would have been bad. I was like, please don't do that. I talked to her and I was like, there are people here who love you. You might be going through a tough time, which she really was going through a tough time. I was like, but there are people who love you. There are people who will be very sad when you go. The whole 9 yards. And I said to her, I'm going to pray for you. Just stop what you're doing and pray with me. And oh my goodness, who tell me figure say that I am going to pray for this girl? Immediately the tone of the conversation changed. It changed to, she started speaking in the third person. This is typing, by the way. She started typing in the third person, and the messages said, you can't have her. Your God can't have her. We have her. She'll never be yours. She'll never, stuff like that. And I was like, look, I'm going to pray anyway, blah, blah, blah. And then whatever it was said, it said, I'm trying to remember the exact words. It said, I see you laying on your back in the middle of your bed in your bedroom. And I'm sending something over to you right now. Brown dog. Guys, I was in my bedroom laying on my back in the middle of my bed. I got up so fast. I got out of that room so fast. And I was like, this is what I'm like, yo, Akil, the things that happen to you are crazy, because I am not even in the same place as this girl. She is a 30-minute drive away from me. I am in my room on my bed. This is not a video call. Yet whatever that was told me exactly where I was, the position I was oriented in, and what I was doing. I got up out of that room so fast and I said, first of all, you know that you can't touch me, that I am protected. And this would always stay with me as well. It said, we know that we can't touch you, but we can use other people who can touch you. And I was like, yo, that's a lesson right there. There are some people in your life, there's some people that you come in contact with that is straight there to cause trouble. They have no purpose other than to be used by evil forces or to be used by something to impede your progress or to hurt you. It said, I know that I can't physically come and touch you. I know that I can't physically harm you, but I will use other people. I will put other people in your life in order to hurt you. Ooh, chills again, chills again. And then right after that, I started praying, but I typed the prayer. And y'all, the things that came through that phone never make sense. Because if you know how technology works, everything that's in a phone has to be programmed. Every font that's in a phone has to be programmed. The symbols in the language that came through that phone were not programmed in that phone. I have never seen anything like that. Some weird symbols, some weird language. Woo, that's something I would never forget. But eventually I prayed more and more for her. I told my mom and I asked my mom to pray for her as well. And eventually she messaged me and she's like, the feeling is gone for suicide and she's feeling a lot calmer, blah, blah, blah. But that, and I've had so many encounters with people like that. It's almost like they keep finding me. But that's the one that's most relevant to the story. So I'll only tell you that one. All right. So let me go back to my, okay. Let me go back to my list so I don't forget anything. Let me get back on track. So yeah, things like that kept happening. But again, I was in my period of forgetting about it, kind of just playing it down. But then little things like that would keep happening that reminded me, Akil, there's something about you that's not completely normal. The other thing that stayed with me during that time, I'm gonna call it the period of forgetting. The other thing that stayed with me during that time is what I'm gonna refer to as double talk. And this is, I think, one of the first gifts that I'm gonna talk about. Ever since I was young, when someone speaks to me, it's like I hear two things. It's a weird thing to explain because it's not like I hear physically, I hear two voices or anything. If you say a sentence to me, because for instance, the way hearing works in a very general way is the sound comes to your ear, goes into your ear, and then your mind converts that sound into information, right? And then you understand what that person said. So what the best way for me to describe it is when you speak to me, the sound goes in my head when it's converting now to what you're saying. Instead of only hearing or instead of only the information of what you said being converted, I get two conversions. It's like what you said literally is converted and I understand it. Then there's another conversion of what you actually mean. So if your intentions don't line up with the words you say to me, I get two meanings. It's like in my head, I see the two meanings. So if you came up to me and you were thinking, ooh, Akil, that hair is ugly. But of course, you don't want to be rude. So you come up to me and you say, oh, Akil, I love your hair. I love your hair, but underneath, I also hear the, I don't really like that. And that used to happen to me from I was a kid. And my parents wouldn't understand why sometimes I just didn't like someone. And to the naked eye, it's like, this person didn't do anything to you. Why don't you like them? I don't like them because I saw through their facade and I heard the underneath of what they're trying to say. It's so weird, and it's something that's helped me a lot through life because I was able to ascertain people who are true friends from people who are fake friends. I was able to ascertain a true opportunity from an opportunity that might not serve me very well. And during that time, I thought I was just really smart. I'm like, girl, you're really smart. You just know things, and even even growing up in life, it's helped me a lot. Like if I go in an interview, I know exactly when you speak to me and ask me a question, I know exactly what you're asking, even if you didn't ask the question properly, and I can answer the question you haven't really asked. And that's helped me a lot in life. Like I'm able to connect with people very well. If I meet you, I can make you feel like we've known each other for years and years and years. And it's not something I have to put effort in, like, oh, I'm gonna make her feel this way. It's just something that naturally comes out of me. So I used to hear this double talk. And at first it used to confuse me. It used to really confuse me because I'm like, why? Why is this person saying these two different things to me? It's not until I got older and I was able to realize I'm hearing people's intentions underneath their words. Another example is I remember when I was kind of like a young adult and I had dyed my hair, nothing like as bold as a pink, but I had put like a lighter brown streaks in my hair and it looks really nice. And I was at my dad's workplace. My dad is a pastor, by the way. I was at my dad's workplace and this elder, he came over to me and he's like, can I speak to you for a minute? I was like, sure. I saw the BS come in as he was walking over. I looked at him and I saw it. I was like, sure, because he was a family friend, you know? And he sat down and he said to me, it was a long time ago, so I'm going to paraphrase, but he basically said, why are you dyeing your hair this color? You don't need to dye your hair this color. You're beautiful as you are. God made you the way he made you for a reason. He made you beautiful. You don't need to alter anything. La 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 la. And while that's a beautiful message on the surface, when he was talking, I heard what he was saying and I saw underneath it what was happening. Underneath it, again, my dad's a pastor, and I think at that point he was like the president of all our churches. Like he was the president of what we call the conference of churches in our country. Underneath everything he was saying, I saw his intent and I saw his reasoning for saying that. And his reasoning for saying that wasn't because he was concerned that I didn't feel good enough about myself and he wanted to reassure me. It wasn't because he wanted to reach someone that he saw something going wrong with. It wasn't any of that. The reason he wanted to say that to me is it made him feel good and proud that he could come and say something to the daughter of this man, of this president, or of the leader of the church. He felt such pride. It's almost like he could have stepped on this pedestal to be able to talk down to me and correct me. So I saw all of that underneath, and yeah, I told him where to go with that. And that's an example because it's not always fun taking correction, but there are many people in my life who have corrected me. There are many people in my life who have said, Akil, you know what, actually, and who've shown me, maybe you could do this different, or maybe this is the best thing to do. And I've taken all of that because I saw their intentions underneath. It was out of love. It was out of concern. Him, it was out of hubris and the need to control or the need to put someone underneath him. And those are two like really strong examples of, I have another one. Another example, and this one was recent. I was on Tinder, right? And I swiped right for this guy. He looked really good. He looked like he dressed well, he presented himself well. But the first thing that came to my mind when I saw him, I was like, this a player. But then I was like, I do this thing a lot where I discount my intuition. I was like, well, maybe not. He maybe just dresses like that. That doesn't mean he is. You don't know this man. So I gave him a little chance. I swiped right. He messaged me. He's like, hey, la la la, yada yada yada. Sound good, sound good. He's like, can I have your number? I would love to give you a call and get to know you more. I was like, I like this little approach. So I gave him my number. Oh my God. Oh my God. He called me and he was introducing himself, or, you know, just talking, asked me some stuff. And underneath his words, oh, the pride. And to me, pride in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just the amount of pride and how you use it. His pride was huge. His ego was huge. And underneath all of his words, it was like all his words were propped up by his ego. Like, this is what I'm seeing. And this is the first time that my second gift manifested. And that was the gift of almost like I'm able to see sometimes a scene set out before me while someone's talking to me. And it doesn't happen all the time. It only happens when I need to know something. So with this guy, yeah, it's almost like I saw his ego propping up all the words he says. Everything he says is being carried by ego. It's being carried by pride. Ugh, it made me sick. And as he kept on talking, I started to see, it was like the room went dark, and I saw bars, like a jail cell. And I don't know who was in the jail cell, whether it was me or him, but I just saw bars. And he's there talking and saying all his stuff, and this is all I'm seeing. Like, I'm on my bed just there, and this is all I'm seeing, and I'm like... And then, this is where I was confirmed in what I was thinking. He started talking about a woman's place, and where a woman's place is, and how some women, because they have big jobs and they're getting a lot of money, they don't know their place. I said, excuse, I was like, you know what? I'm out of here, because what I was seeing was a future if I chose to go down a path with this guy, because he's definitely the type of guy who needs to put someone down to feel bigger. He's definitely the type of guy who needs to hurt a woman or control a woman to feel like a man. And let me tell you, he's definitely the type of guy who will abuse a woman. And I have always said this to my mother and to my friends. If a man ever hit me, either you dying tonight or I'm dying tonight. But one of us not gonna make it. So it's like I was seeing the future right there. I said, you know what? I'm good. And I hung up. Whew. Telling these stories is kind of cathartic. It really is. So at some point, on top of being able to see the double talk of hearing people's words and also seeing their intentions behind their words, I started to see those scenes I just told you about. Sometimes it's vivid, sometimes it doesn't happen at all. But speaking about scenes and like visions, I remember this time I was much younger, and I think I was in high school, like year 7, year 8, somewhere around there. And my dad was taking me and my brother to school, and we drove around where we call South Sound. What can I say that? South Sound. And it was this really nice, like a richer area, a really nice area. We love to drive around there because the houses are really nice. The sea is on the left, palm trees here, like it's just really nice and scenic. So I remember we're driving down that road, and I don't know if I looked down at something, and when I looked back outside to see outside, when I looked outside, y'all, everything was destroyed. It was like all the trees were on the floor, the cars were like flipped. I remember distinctly there was a car like in a tree. I was looking out on the ocean side, so it's like the houses, like the garages and stuff, there were just holes, and you can see through the garage into the ocean. The sand was all in the road. The road was like picked up and like thrown over there. Like it was just utter chaos. And I looked out there and I was like, so I took everything in. I'm looking around, and then I'm like, what? And I blinked, and when I looked again, everything was back to normal. I was like, that was weird. And I always remember that instance. About 5 years later, we had this Hurricane Ivan, and that was a terrible hurricane. Oh, that hurricane ravished the island. And after the hurricane passed and stuff, I remember when we got everything, most things up, and like our car wasn't too badly hit. I can't remember if it was our car or we went in a neighbor's car, but anyway, we started to drive around to see what was going on, and we drove down that road, guys. When I looked around, the exact same scene that I saw about 5 years ago when I was younger was the exact, I saw the exact car in the tree. I saw the house with the middle gutted out, and I was looking at the ocean. The road was over there. I was like, but I didn't say anything to anybody because that's weird. That's weird, right? That's really, really weird. And I didn't want to feel, I don't know, I didn't want to feel different from anybody else. I didn't want people to look at me differently, so I didn't even say it to my family at all. I didn't say it to anybody at that time. So what I was realizing is that as I went through life, these gifts were getting stronger and stronger. And so there was the double talk, there's the scene vision thing, and another thing that was really getting strong was my intuition. And you know what? I'm gonna pause here and say, I don't believe I'm special or, you know, more special than anybody else. I feel like at some level, everyone has something, everyone has the ability to do these things, especially when it comes to intuition. And that was something that was really growing. I remember, like, if I was walking out the door and something says strongly, and it's weird, again, it's not a voice, I don't hear anything outside. It's like a thought is impressed in my mind, like a thought is put there, a thought that wasn't there before, and it's not me thinking it, it's put there. And how I know it's not me thinking it is when the thought comes, it's like I'm observing the thought. It's like I'm surprised by it. I'm like, oh, okay, like it's not mine. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'm observing this thought that was put there. It's really weird to explain. It's really weird to explain, and actually really cool. So I would be walking out the door, and my intuition, the thought just says, and it comes on strongly too. Like, it's almost like your whole body tingles when it comes. It's like your body, it's like it shakes your body. It's like, bring an umbrella. And I'm like, no, do you not see the sun? It is blazing outside. Go about my business. In about an hour, drenched. Be going through the door, and the thought shakes me again. It says, bring a pen. And I'm like, for what? I'm just going to the gas station. Go to the gas station. I need to sign something. No pen in sight. And I used to, like, I ignore these things because they're like really small, insignificant things. Rain, pen, you know, things like that. But as time went on, it got stronger, and it started showing me more important things, like discerning, like I mentioned before, friendships, people's intentions, job, things to do with my job. Not only that, knowing what to say and to who. Like, I would want to say something to this person, and my intuition, it just comes and it says, don't say a word. And then a week later, I see why I was told not to say a word. It always reveals itself, and it always confirms itself true. And a lot of people have that, and I want to bring out this message to you guys. If you feel anything like that, follow your intuition. It's put there specifically to guide you through life. And a lot of you, and the message that's coming to me is, a lot of you women, you don't follow your intuition when it comes to men. You don't, like, you'll follow it for other things, but you don't follow it when it comes to men. Or you only follow it when it comes to men if it's something bad. Like, oh, I feel like he's cheating on me, let me look. But you don't follow that intuition when you meet the guy and something's like, something's not right with him, and you're like, please, look at the things he's saying. Look at the gifts he's buying. And something is saying to you, sis, you're like, nah. And then you go through the relationship and you find out, actually, there's something very wrong with this man. So follow your intuition, guys. It's there for a reason. Okay. All right. So yeah, my intuition was growing really strong. The double talk has always been there, as I said. Uh, and the vision situation, or seeing, I like to call them scenes, started to get a lot stronger too. I will never forget this instance where, so how our house is set up is, as you come through the front door, there's like a, we call it the landing, where you stand and you, like there's a little front, anyway, that's not important. There's a staircase that goes up and it winds around and it goes up another step. And then there's like a space up there where you can stand and look down. So I came out of my room and I was standing at the top of the staircase looking down, and I saw my mom walk to the stairway. And I was like, oh, mommy coming upstairs. Let me stay right here so that I can trouble her when she comes upstairs. Oh God, I love troubling my mom. But anyway, I was like, yeah, let me stay right here so when she come upstairs, I can trouble her and do random stuff with her. So I was looking at her. She didn't see me, but I was looking at her now, and she was coming up the first part of the stairs. And as I looked closer, it's like I saw this grayness around her. Like this gray filter, it looks like, was right around her body, right around her, just wrapping her in this grayness. And I was like, what the hell? And along with that grayness, oh, sorry guys, if you hear someone in the distance, they're starting their prayers because I'm in Indonesia right now. What time is it? It must be like, anyway, it's prayer time apparently. So back to the story. Yeah, along with the grayness was this really bad feeling in my body. Like something bad is happening. Like it was a really bad negative feeling. And as I was watching her come up, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then she turned a corner and she faced me, and she's coming up, and I'm looking at her like this, and she's looking at me coming up, and she was like smiling, or like, why is she looking at me? And the closer she got is the worse the feeling got, like really bad. And I'm looking at the grayness and I'm like, what is going on? And as soon as she reached the top of the stairs, right before she spoke, the thought, something was impressed in my mind, and it said, something bad is going to happen to her. And I was like, what? And then she said something like, what are you looking at me for? Or something like that. And it's like, it shook it off. I looked again, the grayness was gone and the bad feeling was gone. I was just like, okay. And I just pushed it out of my mind. The very next day, my mom was in a car accident taking my brother to work, I think it was. They were both in an accident, and she had to go to the hospital and get checked out. Thank God it wasn't too bad. She just had to wear like a neck brace for a while. But I was like, I didn't even tell them at that time either. I was just like, so things like this kept happening. And I'm like, okay, Akil, there's something definitely going on there, but I didn't investigate it too much. I just went along with my life. Okay. This video is getting really long. So at this point, obviously, I knew that there was something different about me. There was something, I definitely had some sort of gift, because things like this kept happening, kept going on. And I was like, ooh, Akil, you need to figure this out. I started being led to meditation, and by led I mean the same intuition that would tell me, bring an umbrella, it's gonna rain, or don't talk to this guy because it's gonna end badly, or don't walk down this way and then someone gets robbed. Like, I started to follow that, and it was telling me I need to meditate. I need to meditate more. I need to pay a bit more attention to my inner world. And I started doing those things, and oh my goodness, it started to develop even more to the point where I started to get a lot of, it's almost like, I think in the church they call it inspiration or messages for people. Like someone will be talking to me and telling me about an issue, And when it's like they're asking me for advice, but the advice I give them, when I start speaking and I'm finished, I'm like, Akil, where the hell did that come from? It's such good advice. It's such potent advice. And they're like, yo, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And the crazy thing about it is they'll tell me that. And in their head, it's like Akil knows what to do. But inside, I know Akil didn't know diddly squat. The things or advice I gave to you, I'm also looking at it in surprise, like, damn, that's some good advice. Where did that come from? Because it didn't come from me. It was like something puts messages in my mind and for specific people, and I just say it. And it is crazy because, again, the stronger that got through as I was meditating and paying more attention, I started to look around and try to figure out, like, where is this coming from? Why is this happening to me? And I realized my dad is the same way. So if you don't know, my dad is a pastor, right? Really great pastor. He has this ability to speak to people and know exactly what to say, know exactly how to counsel you to fix your problem. And I used to hear people always say all the time, like, he's an inspired man. And now I understand a bit more what that actually means. I remember, like, I see my dad preach all the time. From I was yay high, he's been preaching. And I would watch him, right? You know, he obviously has like his notes, you know, or like an outline of what he wants to say. And he'll follow his notes or he'll go off script and talk. But I can always, and you can always pinpoint that moment where he's not on the script. He's not just going off of what he thinks he should say. You can see when something comes in his head and tells him what to say, or something is impressed in his mind to tell him what to say. Like, you'll see him talking and then you'll see him like, ooh, and then he'll say something like, the spirit just told me to say, and then he'll say it, and it's like a potent point that people need to hear. And I used to, like, all this stuff is so normal for me that I didn't realize that it's not normal. It is not normal. And I was like, when I realized that he did that, I was like, but that's the same thing that happens to me. If someone comes to me and says, Akil, oh my gosh, I'm going through this because la 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 la, something is downloaded in my head to say for this person, and I say it, and as I'm saying it, I'm also observing it, and I'm like, whew, that was powerful. And they're like, damn, that was powerful. How did you even know that X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, it's like inspired thoughts that just come in my head to say. And my dad does it as well, and that's when I'm like, wait a minute now. Then I think back to my grandmother and I realize my grandmother is the same way. She'll wake up and say, guys, there was a demon around last night. I used to think she was crazy, honestly. She would say stuff like that. She's always meditating on the scripture. She says she's meditating on the scripture. She's always meditating on the scripture. She's always coming to you with a message. I have a message from the Lord for you. She was always that type of person. She was always that type of person. And then I began to see that it's a gift that's been passed down. I don't know anyone on my grandmother's side further back from her, but she has that gift. She's passed it down to my dad. My dad has that gift. My dad would say to you, I was meditating last night and you came to my mind, X, Y, and Z. And then, so he has that gift, and then it's been passed on to me, and I have that gift. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is getting super long, so I need to wrap this up. The same intuitive guidance that I've been receiving, I started to listen to it a lot more as I saw it develop and I saw it confirmed to be a true guiding light. And it told me, it said, listen, you need to go to London. So I figured out a way to get to London, packed my bags, quit my job, moved to London. And the spiritual awakening that I had in London was amazing. It was literally the year that Corona hit. I got to London in January, and like the middle of January, and March 1st, lockdown. And that lockdown forced me to be in one space in where I was living, and it forced me to sit and think and listen to my thoughts. It forced me to meditate daily. It forced me to do so many different things. And through those few months of just lockdown and having to quarantine sometimes, I discovered so much about myself. And I'm gonna put a plug here and say that someone who's listening to this video, there's a message for you. You need to search for yourself. There are things in life that you're taught from your parents, from your society, and it's like you grow up with those things ingrained in you, but that's not you. Those are thoughts and beliefs and thoughts and beliefs that other people have put in your head. What are your thoughts and beliefs? Who are you? You need to go on that journey of finding your identity. All right, that's a plug. Moving on. It was revealed to me that I needed to go on a journey of self-acceptance. I was a very confident person, but to some degree, it was an act because I didn't accept myself fully. I didn't accept these parts of myself that were a little different. And you can't go through life faking it. At some point, reality is gonna show its face and you have to deal with it. And so I went through a whole I would like to call it a spiritual awakening. And through that awakening, my gifts have taken off so much. I remember this time I got in the train and it was at like maybe 11 o'clock. So the place wasn't crowded and lockdown has just lifted and most people were working from home. So it was very kind of empty. And I went into one of the, what do you call it? I'm gonna call it cars. You know how the train is made up of like segments, like box cars or whatever it is. I went into one of them and it was completely empty. It was just me. I was like, yeah. And I sat there and I was feeling happy. I was feeling good. I was like, ooh, today's a good day. The sun is shining bright. I was humming. I was good. And then the train stopped a few times. No one came on. And then it stopped at a place where I guess a lot of people were. So the doors opened and tons of people came in and sat down. Oh my gosh. Immediately, it was like I started to pick up on everyone's feelings. Immediately, I felt like hopelessness. Someone over there was feeling really sad. Someone over there was feeling really hopeless. I felt hopelessness. I felt stuck. I felt almost like I was ready to cry in the 5 minutes that all these people sat down. And that's when I was like, ooh, these gifts are getting really strong. I had to get out of there. Like I had to come out of the at the next stop and just calm down. It's like a whole overwhelming rush of emotions from these people that were sitting around me. And man, oh man, another example of something like that happening was I was dating this guy that I met where I was staying. Like it was a big building with lots of people. And we made a really good connection instantly. Sometimes you meet people who you just click with. We had some sort of really good connection. But anyway, there's this girl in the building and there is something about her. I shouldn't say something about her. I knew what it was. I've never spoken to this girl in my life. I would see her from afar and she was a swirling whirlwind of negative emotions. Like, I remember one day I got in the elevator and she got in with me. It was just me and her. Just that a few seconds right up to my floor. Her energy was it was disheartening. You could see that she was very hurt underneath everything. She was very hurt, but she padded that all with arrogance and I'm a bad bitch. Like she put this facade around this huge ball of hurt. Ooh, battery. Be right back. Okay, yeah, we're back. Had to change my battery. But yeah, she was this huge swirl of negative emotions. You can see like her spirit had this huge ball of hurt, and she had padded it with all these defense things so that no one could see the hurt. She padded it with arrogance. She padded it with hubris and this just like nasty things. I could also tell, sorry, my hair is like everywhere. I could also tell that she did a lot of substances to kind of try and not shrink the hurt, but paint it a different color so it doesn't come off as hurt. She was very concerned with how she looked. And on top of all of that, she also tried to hide it with duck lips, tons of makeup, fake boobs. Like, her main concern was pretending the hurt didn't exist. And she doesn't care who she hurt or what she does, but oh, it was just bad. It was just bad. And I was like, ooh, Akil. Normally I feel sorry when I see things like that. Like, I feel sorry for the person and I'll try to help or whatever it is. But the way she packaged her hurt was a way that no one can help her. And it's not until she unpacks that and allows herself to be helped can she be helped. So I was like, you know what? Stay away from that one. So, you know, every time I saw this girl, I could see that. And so I was like, yeah, stay away from her. Cool. Now, I was sitting playing cards in the lobby with some friends, and she walked over. So I was sitting beside the guy that I was talking to at the time, and she walked over and she was talking to another friend at the table. So she said something. So I looked up in her direction. I was looking at her, and all of a sudden, these thoughts of hatred came in. And I distinctly remembering it saying, like, the thought was, oh, I hate that girl. I can't stand her. And I felt clear as day the feeling of, ugh, I hate her. Who does she think she is? I hate her. I can't stand her. And I was observing these thoughts, and I sat back in myself and I was like, what is this? I was like, when did you reach to the level of hate? That's a strong word. How can you hate this girl? You've never spoken to her. Yeah, I know you've observed some things about her that don't sit really well with you, but hate, how did you get here? And I was observing my thoughts inside my head, and I was like, what? And then she said what she was saying, and then she left, and then the thoughts and the feelings left. And I was like, that was weird. A few days later, the guy I was talking to, we were sitting in the lobby again, and that girl passed. And he said to me, oh, I hate that girl. I was like, wait, what? He's like, I hate that girl. I can't stand her. Basically, he was in the elevator one day and she walked in and she was basically trying to push herself on him, and he wasn't really, you know, responding the way she wanted to. And she got upset and started cussing him and telling him stuff about, I don't want to say it on this video because that's his business, but saying some really nasty stuff that cut him really deeply. And he carried that with him. And when he told me that story, I didn't say it to him then, I just kept it in my head. But then I realized the feelings and the thoughts that I picked up weren't mine. They were actually his. Because, and then what even confirmed to me that they were actually his is not only was he telling me exactly the thoughts that I heard or that was impressed on me and I felt, I realized it wasn't my thoughts because I was observing it and I was surprised by the thoughts. You know, like sometimes you'll think something and you're like, damn, you think to yourself, damn, would I go that far? It wasn't even that. It was like, what is this? Like, almost like, where did that come from? Like, I was feeling and understanding something that wasn't me. That was one of the most potent things that I've done with my gifts, and that's the thing. These things happen to me. It's almost like I'm not in control of them. I don't choose when they happen, but they just happen. And I was like, yo, that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy. Nothing like that has ever happened again though. I almost want to say it, I attribute it to the fact that we had a really good connection, and that somehow helped me to be able to feel his emotions a lot stronger. Yeah, that was crazy. I'm losing my light because I'm in a hotel room, but and you know, time is going. But the last really crazy thing I wanted to say in this video is, so all of this happened and everything is getting stronger and stronger. And I remember, do you remember this time where they had, I don't remember what they call it. I think some people called it the Bethlehem Star. I saw in the news something about a Bethlehem Star, that Jupiter and Saturn were gonna be passing the closest, I don't know if it's the closest to the Earth or the closest to each other and the Earth. And it was like this whole big thing on the news, like, oh, this is happening. And like historians speculate that that's the star that the wise men saw in Bethlehem. Like this was a whole big thing. I'm sure you remember it. And I saw it happening in the news, but I didn't really pay attention because I had just gotten a job at that time and the commute was crazy. I was literally just going to work, coming home and crashing. Like I was busy. So I saw that happening in the news. I didn't really pay attention to it. Then I came home one night, and I think it was the night that was supposed to happen. And I saw people like, yeah, the star, and people on social media were taking pictures of the star and it was bright and beautiful and everyone's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, I'm too tired to investigate this. Switched off my phone and went to sleep. And oh my gosh, I noticed that when I close my eyes to go to sleep, I don't know how it is for you, but whenever I close my eyes, I see almost like, you know, when your cable is off and like just the TV's on and you see the little white thing, like it's like shh, and it's just like, it's the thing that causes the white noise. I normally just see that, just like shh, like stuff, just blackness, but like almost like when you'd have the TV on but the cable is off, and I'm like, okay, cool. This time when I closed my eyes, the things that normally just make the white noise in the background, or you see the white things moving around, they started to move. Okay, and this is gonna sound crazy, but this is literally my experience. This is literally what happened. They formed geometric patterns this time. It wasn't just a jumble of close my eyes and it's just stuff and you just fall asleep. They formed geometric patterns and they were there in their patterns moving. And I'm like, that's weird. But I'm like, Akil, you probably just fallen asleep. So anyway, fell asleep. Cool. Sleep. Then I started to have a dream. And the only thing I remember from this dream is right at the end where, and it didn't even feel like a dream. It was one of those dreams that felt a little different. And what I remember from was I was there and I was floating in the air upright, as people do in dreams. And I looked down, like down beneath me, and there was this older lady looking up at me. And when our eyes made contact, I get chills thinking about it, like seeing her face. She looked at me. So yeah, I looked down and she looked up at me, and when our eyes made contact, because she's like right beneath me, right below my legs, she went like this and pushed me right between my legs like this, and it like pushed me up and out of my dream like this, and I sat up. I was like, what the hell? It's almost like she pushed me out of whatever dream I was having and pushed me straight sitting up in bed like this. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like, okay, you just had a weird dream. Settle down, gather yourself. So I sat there and I was like, okay. Then I noticed my whole body was buzzing. My whole body was shaking like this. Like, it's not like my body was physically shaking. It's like energy was in there, like doing this. My whole body was pulsating. And I was like, what is going on? Closed my eyes. I saw the patterns moving. The patterns were moving, And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, okay, Akil, you're awake, right? Looked around, slap myself like they do in the movies. I was like, you definitely are awake, girl. And I don't know, it was like I was pulsating. And I was like, okay, Akil, let's do a meditation. I did a meditation, and oh my gosh, the depths of my mind that I was able to get into, the connection with myself was crazy. I came out of the meditation, I was like, okay, something not normal is happening, something not normal is happening. And that's when I started to look it up. I'm like, the only thing I know of is that weird star thing. So I started to look it up, and I was like, what is the star? The star. And it talked about how this is the great conjunction. I didn't know what the hell that meant. And I was like, oh, so it's actually planets doing something. And I was like, I don't know what any of this means. I just know that I'm feeling something strange. And ever since then, guys, because going back to my childhood, remember it started with this whole demonic dreams and whatever. I have lived my life in fear of those things. Like, I didn't like staying anywhere by myself because I'm like, I don't like that feeling that something is there, or I didn't like watching certain things because it's just this fear that it's gonna come back and I'm gonna start feeling these things again. I was living in fear for years. After that night, it's almost as if I was on a different plane from those things. It's like I know they still exist, but them and I aren't on the same plane. It doesn't affect me anymore. That's what I observed after that night. And I still don't know what happened that night, but something did. But something did. I'll leave it there because I don't even know what that was. So after that happened, yeah, I felt like I was just no longer accessible to things like that. I was on a different frequency. And what else I noticed that happened, and I'm wrapping up now, is messages come through a lot clearer. Now when I see people, it's almost like messages are jumping out of me to say to them. Like, things are like, ooh, say this, say this, say this. This person really needs to hear this. Say this, say this, say this. And it was at this time now that I started to say things to my family and friends. Because all this time, all these things were happening, I said nothing to no one. No one. Maybe only my brother, I would say a few things to. But outside of that, no one. I literally only told my dad about this, literally, like, I want to say last month. But yeah, after that happened last year, I started to get messages for friends. Like, I remember one of my closest friends here, I was observing her one day, and a message came to me about her marriage. And it said, say this to her, she needs to hear it. And I was like, me? Go talk about people marriage? That is none of my business. She didn't say nothing to me about that. How am I just gonna get up and tell this girl about her marriage? I ignored it. Then she came over to my house like a month or so later, and we had, we're talking. And I start to call these sessions now because that's basically what they are. Almost like counseling sessions, but it's like inspired thoughts that are being told to me to tell the person. And the exact same thing was impressed on my mind to say to her. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to say it. And when I told her everything I needed to say to her, she was like, what? She was like, how did you know? Like, how did you know all of this? How did you know? You're absolutely right about this, what, X, Y, and Z. I do feel like this. And you're right. It's probably stemming from this. And you're right. La, la, la. And she's like, how did you know? And I'm like, it just comes and I say it. It comes and I pass on the message. And that's where it was confirmed to me. The reason I've been pushed to accept these gifts myself, but also accept it in a public way. I've been pushed and pushed and pushed to accept it publicly, and this is why I'm actually doing this video, because there's so many people that I could have helped had I accepted it. There's so many people that I was given messages for that I ignored, that could have used that message, that could have learned that lesson a little earlier. So many people that I've done a disservice to by keeping these things to myself. And the message that's coming out now to me is, you're watching this for a reason. There's a gift that someone has that they're suppressing. There's a calling that someone has that they're suppressing because they don't want to seem different. They're ignoring themselves. They're ignoring their calling because it doesn't line up with what people expect of them. It doesn't line up with what their parents expect of them. It doesn't line up with what their family members expect of them. It doesn't line up with what society expects of them. And the message is that you are put on this earth to deliver those gifts. You were put on this earth to help with those gifts. Don't ignore it. I feel so light now that I've said this stuff out. I feel so calm because I know I've done what I'm supposed to do. Again, I'll reiterate, I don't think I'm more special than anybody else. I think everyone has all of these abilities to a degree. It's just about fostering them and listening to them versus pushing them down and ignoring them. And I don't know if anyone has had any experiences like this or anything you want to share. Definitely put it down below. And to all my friends and family members who've encouraged me, who I've helped, and through helping you, you're like, yo, you have a gift, do something with it. There's so many of my friends that I've helped through things with my gifts, and they're like, how did you know that? How did you know to say that? And I'm like, it was just told to me. And they're like, you need to stop hiding. And I'm like, you're right. So this video has been long enough. Please be kind. I'm gonna go now.